Hi, this is Dr. Rod. I love being with you, love sharing these. Thank you for the comments. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to keep producing these. And these are, in a way, left what I learned at Concord, what I learned through, I had a great education with schooling, and the Holy Spirit and the body of Christ at Concord drew out things in me, and I'd like to share those things. Those are riches. That's what the word I was looking for, that the Concord riches. And I'm grateful to Dr. E.K. Bailey for inviting me to be a part of the staff for 20 years at Concord. I'm excited for Reverend Brian Carter to continue the invitation after the passing of Pastor Bailey. And so here, I'd like to share with something that's very important that I've been looking into, and it's called emotional resilience. And one of the things that's very important is, how do you get resilience? How do you make it through all of the storms? I'm working through some business, working with some business people, helping them to succeed. And I see one of the key issues that both male and female deal with is this subconscious saboteur that is undermining their efforts. And they get to a certain level of success, and that saboteur kicks in. And one of the things that I'm helping them to be able to discover is to find this unbelievable resolution of emotion and mental and will that allows them to push through that saboteur that happens. So I'm excited to share with you. I'm going to do a broad of this, and then I'm going to go back and do some very specifics on each one of these. Number one, you have to have a North Star. You have to have something that's bigger than you, that's better than you, that's beyond you. And it has to grab you. It has to grab your being, not just your mind, not just your emotions, not just your will. It has to grab your being. It has to boil your blood. It has to energize you. It has to come from the very center of your DNA. It has to come from your bone marrow. And this North Star, God is a great North Star. Religion is not. Religion is a thing of the mind. It's created, but to be in a relationship with God. For some people, it's helping others. They have a North Star, and you see that their life is built around that North Star. A North Star gives you your compass. Your North Star gives you your maps. Your North Star gives you the goggles that you look through life. For some people, there was a young lady I knew in high school, lifeguarded with her, and her North Star was love. Oh, she just was an amazing woman of love, even as an 18-year-old. And I just was fascinated by her kindness, by her. She ended up dating one of my very good friend of mine. And I just loved how she loved, and she got hurt in the process, and she loved her way through it. And I just still to this day, years later, I admire her for that North Star of love. For some, it's a truth. It's for some, it's medical. Something happened to your mother, your father, and you're on this. The North Star is healing. I want to solve that. And so it's got to be bigger. It's got to be better than you. It's got to be beyond you. It's got to be above you. Okay, so the North Star is very important. Number two is to be around people that have the same North Star. What'll happen is you will drift off your North Star. So communion, community, and care is number two. You've got to be around people that have the like-hearted. You have to be away from people that your North Star is toxic to them, and they're toxic to your North Star. I've seen young men that had great North Stars, and this pretty little thing came in and misled them away. I've seen amazing women that had an amazing North Star, and this guy came in and led them away. So you want to be careful, guys. When you're young and you're looking for your pack, you're looking for the people that you're going to run with. You need to make sure that they have the same North Star. I've seen a lot of guys get messed up. Actually end up doing some prison time because the guys that they're running with are bad, and it is not their DNA. It's not their North Star. So you want to make sure you've got a connection. You want to make sure you got communion. Communion is when two beings talk together. Connection can be mind, it can be emotion, it can be sexual, it can be physical, that we're in the same area, going through the same experiences. But there's a being connection, there's a being communion that's very important, and that allows for challenge, that allows for encouragement, and that's very important. Number 3 is, as you walk this out with this community, you're going to begin to develop confidence in your North Star. And your North Star will get tighter and tighter. You're going to get more focus. Your compass will get with clarity. You'll know the path. Your maps will begin to make sense. The goggles will be cleaned off, and they will allow you to see things. The North Star gives you footing. It lets you know where your feet are. And therefore, then all of a sudden it gives clarity as the dust begins to settle around you, and then it gives direction. So that's awesome to see that. Once you get going in this, you've got to manage. The next 3 things I'm going to give you are mechanics of keeping your North Star. Number 1 is you have to manage your brain's chemistry. Your brain is a computer that processes data and facts, but not the truth. Your North Star should be based upon truth, not your truth. I've seen a lot of people that say, well, this is my truth. That doesn't mean nothing. I mean, that's your little world, and because you're successful, maybe you have money, you're able to establish this this world full of lies and said, this is my truth. It's not true. Is it the truth? Is it the same truth that everybody around the world knows on their heart? And we know that there's love. We know that's an international truth, that love is out there, and science cannot explain it. They say there's a reason for it, but they cannot explain it. They cannot explain its origin. They cannot really explain how it fully developed. And so we're excited about being in that North Star, and you've got to manage your brain's chemistry. Number 1, you have to manage your brain's chemistry about yourself. 5 positive thoughts to 1 negative thought. You've got to keep your brain at 5. This comes out of Dr. Gottman's research out of Washington State. And he's done all the research. You can look him up online, a brilliant guy. And I have tested this out. I've read other sources that hint at this type of thing. This is amazing. 5 positive thoughts about yourselves. And so when you have a negative thought, what I want you to be able to do is to say 5 positive things about yourself. Most people will not do this. You will not stay North Star bound. You will not honor your compass. You'll not honor your maps when all of a sudden you begin to let 4 to 1. It actually changes the brain chemistry. And let me give an example. You go into a restaurant and you have a 4 to 1 experience. You have 4 great experiences, and then you have a bad one. Your brain will register that place as questionable. 5 to 1, and you can put up with it. So in a relationship with somebody else, moms and dads, especially with your children, and all of you have that one child that's like, oh my God. One of my children, I told them that, man, if you'd have been the first, you'd have been the last. Because I have a master's degree in marriage and family, and I don't have a clue. I did not know what was going on, and I had to constantly, and only then could I see what the real challenge is. So after you do 5 positives, you can see what the challenge is. You've got to be in charge of your brain chemistry. Had a friend that worked at the post office and had a bad experience, and all of a sudden he went negative. And I challenged him 5 to 1. Well, then they brought in a new supervisor. They asked him to train the supervisor, a young guy. And man, it was exciting to see. All of a sudden he loved his job. And so 5 to 1. And what the brain does is when you do 5 positives, it helps you to see what is the real truth. What is the challenge that I'm facing? What's going on? So when I'm in a situation where I'm having a hard time with someone, I make sure that I do 5, and then I can see clearly what the challenge is. Okay, so make sure you're in charge. Make sure that you're managing. You've got to master and you've got to manage your brain chemistry. A lot of people will get fired from a job, will ruin a relationship because they're not managing and they're not mastering. Number 5, number 2 of the 3 mechanics. Number 1 is manage your brain chemistry. Number 2 is manage your subconscious emotions. Those things will get out of control just like that. You not only have to manage them, but you have to master them. And what you have to do is you have to tell them. It's just like a budget. At the beginning of the month, the beginning of the year, you have to tell your dollars where to go. And most of the time they'll go that general direction. And sometimes they'll go very specifically. And there's always things that come up. Your emotions go all over the place. And so you have to choose what type of emotions do you wake up with? This is, I go to bed at night, and this is something that I do. What are 5 things I love about today? What were 5 amazing things, and what's the one challenge? And man, it changes what you dream. It changes how you think about things. Take a break every once in a while. Some of you get a 10 o'clock coffee break. Just stop and say, what are 5 great things that I'm so excited about life? You will change your life. Not only will you manage the chemistry of the brain, you'll manage the chaotic of your emotions. And these emotions are subconscious. This is where you get bushwhacked. This is where, and you've got to stay. You hear me well on this. Man, this is something, a friend of mine helped me with this. Don't get offended. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get hurt. That doesn't mean that you don't cry out for justice. But if you get personally offended, you'll get disqualified from dealing with that. I've seen people in situations where it becomes about vengeance. I want to hurt them. No, do you want justice or do you want vengeance? Do you want to feel something? And you see they lose the ability to be a part of the restoring or be even a part of justice. So you want to be careful of that personal offense and manage those emotions. My goodness, I know somebody that became mentally ill because they were just so full of anger, so full of rage that eventually it broke down the chemistry of their brain, and they had to be put on medication, major medication, to be able to manage the emotions, the up and down of that. So number 2 of the 6 is make sure that you manage and you master the subconscious emotion. One of the things to learn how to do is how to exhale, how to grieve. If you come in to see me and we're talking through some, or we do a Zoom consultation, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you exhale, physically exhale. We're not meant to carry pain. Pain is an amazing friend that comes for a cup of coffee, and then we exhale, and it matures into grief. Grief matures into joy. Joy matures into strength. You keep pain, and what happens is on tomorrow it hides itself in yesterday, and then that's a part of the curse. Is that now you got this pain hidden that's based on another pain, and you start getting linear. Now you start believing the pain's coming again, and it begins to affect how you react in the future. A lot of people carry baggage into relationships because of linear pain in the past that's not been dealt with. The key thing to dealing with pain is forgive. Not for their sake, for your sake. Forgive. And go to the cross, go to the bloody heart of Jesus Christ, and put your bloody heart up against his on the cross, and then breathe your pain into him and let him receive it and set you free from it. If you carry it, you'll bury it. So don't carry it. If you hide it, it's going to haunt you, and it's going to become linear and point to the future, and it'll predict pain in the future. Well, I want you to have a pain-free life. It doesn't mean that pain doesn't happen. If we sit down, we have a cup of coffee, we're going to talk about it, I'm going to grieve it, it's going to mature into grief, into joy, and then into strength. Psalm 126. So manage and master your subconscious emotions with intention. You got to be very intentional here. And then number 6 is manage your body. The biggest thing Gabi and I, Concord has this fast that they do in January, and one year we did the whole 30. My son talked me into it, and I did it, and it's a great way of learning to listen to your body and listen to what your body is saying. Very, very important to be quiet, to be still, and listen to your body. I learned that there's certain foods that I don't like. I learned there's certain foods I don't like in the afternoon. There's certain foods I don't like for breakfast. My body doesn't like them. Now my mouth, oh my goodness, loves them. But there's certain things that hinder, that cause problems. So those are the 3. Number 1, the North Star. Number 2, connections, communion, and care. Number 3 is confidence begins to build. Number 4 is manage and master your brain's chemistry. Number 5 is manage your subconscious, manage and master your subconscious with great intent. And number 6 is manage your body. All right, God bless you guys. Love you all.